What is up, Raveraide fam? Welcome to another episode of the Raveraide podcast with your host, Tyler Hardy. And as always, I just want to take a moment to express my overwhelming love and gratitude for each and every single one of you guys who tune in on a daily and weekly basis to hear about all things Raveraide, self-improvement, spirituality, biohacking, everything that we're about here at Raveraide, with the main intention to assist you in becoming the most self-actualized and self-loved version of yourself. So then that way we can help you actualize your gift and share it with the world so that way we can start healing the planet and making it a better place for all. So today what I want to talk about is the importance of synchronizing yourself with creation and your greatest potential, and what that looks like and what the difference has been in my life overall from doing that, as opposed to living in a lot of ego and separation and illusion, that keeps us stuck in lower vibrational paradigms. And I just want to really emphasize how important this is and how much it improves your quality of life as a whole from a number of different aspects. So, hopping into this subject matter, I really want you to know that, the law of totality states that we are everything, that we are everyone. We're the sky, we're the water, we're the people, we're the animals, we're everything, right? And as a subsequent result of that, when we live in that ideology and embody that, we know that we're not separate from anyone. So the way that we treat others is how we're treating ourselves, that others are divine reflections of us that can show us ways in which we can be better and how we can improve in numerous different aspects of life. And so when we know this, when we embody this, it allows us to connect to the whole. I personally believe, and I was talking to a good friend about this, that all the things that we see in the world that are negative or bad, those labels that we put on these things, they're all rooted in separation from God. They're all rooted in separation due to ego and pride and all these lower vibrational frequencies and ways of being that cause people to do some of the worst things imaginable on this planet and in this experience. And it's due to the fact that they're separated from creation. They're separated from the whole. They're separated from, infinite potential. And as a result of that, that's why we see a lot of the things that are happening in this world. And the way that I see everything that's happening right now is that things are falling apart so that synchronization can happen. So then that way we can make those changes together. So then that way we can step into something that's much, more abundant and thriving for all the people that you live here, not just, certain people. Because I do believe that we're all, entitled and deserve to live the best life possible when we, synchronize with creation and we, dedicate ourselves and devote ourselves to the work that we know that we need to do in order to actualize the best version of ourselves. And that's where you step in, right? And so before, one thing that I would definitely say was like, you don't realize how much ego you're living in, how much separation you're living in from yourself, from your greatest potential, from others, from opportunities, from experiences, all these different things. You don't realize how much you're separated from those things. And we're conditioned to be separated. We're conditioned to judge others. We're conditioned to look at others differently and place labels on ourselves and others. And when we do that, it creates limitation, because we are infinite. We are meant to come here to create and to love freely and abundantly. And we can't do that when we live in identification. We can't do that when we're stuck in paradigms of ego and lack and separation, or lower vibrational frequency and fear. We can't experience that. We're not able to experience that. But what I will say is that I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what your background is. I know for a fact that you have the same ability that I do as anybody else does to tap into that infinite intelligence at any given point. And there's a lot of things that go into that. A lot of that's about taking care of your health and synchronization of brainwave frequencies and patterns and things like that, and really dealing with the ego and the subconscious mind, and really getting to know like the inner workings of how you work is going to open up a completely different life to you that is far greater than you could ever imagine. And it keeps improving on a daily basis, and it's such a beautiful thing that I'm getting to experience. And I want to share that with anybody who's involved with the Raveraide family. Like, that's what I want for you more than anything. And that's what I talk about with self-actualization, is dropping and shedding those limitations, the ego, the pride, the separation, the unwillingness to collaborate with others, things of that nature that keep us from connecting with greater potentials. Because we can only do so much from the limited perspective that we live in when we choose to live in those lower vibrational states. And I don't blame you for living in those states. I don't think that there's, anything wrong with living in those states. But once you become aware of it, you see how detrimental it is to your overall life experience. You see how detrimental it can be towards, your ability to connect and love and share and create and collaborate with others and with the universe or God or whatever you believe in. And it keeps you stuck, in ways that you don't need to make yourself stuck. And I think the reason why so many people live in that limitation is, they have feelings of inferiority or feelings of, lack or scarcity or subconscious programming that they were taught from a young age. And as a result of that, they carry that out in their life. That's the vibrational tone in which they live in. And again, I'm here to tell you that I don't care where you're at right now. I don't care, where you've been. I don't care who you are. I know for a fact that you're capable of experiencing higher levels of consciousness. I know that you're capable of doing the things that you know that you should be doing. So now we can start unraveling the magic that is always available to each and every single one of us, whether that's in your day-to-day or in spiritual ceremonies or wherever it is that you are. You can infuse a level of magic and mysticism into your day-to-day life when you do the work and get out of your own way. And so, over the past few months, I've really had a lot of I've talked about this on previous podcasts, a lot of death and rebirth, right? Where I'm beginning to see ego and talent could only take me so far with things with Raveraide or, other ventures and things that I'm doing in my life and other pursuits. And I was seeing how I was limiting myself because I was identifying to belief systems and people and experiences that made me feel limited. And I started to realize how much I was doing that to myself. No one around me was doing that. And if someone was doing that around me, I was allowing it to happen because, again, I know that I'm in full control of my reality and I'm in full control of the decisions that I make about where I spend my time, where I place my energy, and all the things that I do. And same for you. And so I started to see in so many ways how I was blocking myself from receiving. I was blocking myself from opportunities. I was being hesitant. I wasn't committing myself to the things that I knew needed to be done on a daily basis. And it was causing, we were growing in a lot of ways, and I've been growing in a very healthy way, but I was starting to see okay, I want to go to the next level. I want to push, to those upper limits of, limitlessness and or upper echelons of creation and, synchronization with, perfection. And when we do that, in order to do that, we have to really acknowledge how much we've held ourselves back. We have to acknowledge how much we've allowed ego and stories and belief systems to keep us stuck in limited patterns. And it's such an interesting thing because I remember as I would talk to people that were around me that are good friends that, work at Raveraide, we would talk about, letting go of identity, right? And you feel such a resistance to it because that's the person that you made, that the ego made to be able to cope with trauma, stresses, external things going on in your external reality, to be able to cope and to be able to, survive and manage. And at that time, that may have been a good thing for self-preservation, but you start to realize that those things that you've been carrying out and the energy that you've been bringing into every single encounter that you have has really been limiting you and keeping you from something even greater. And so I remember when we started, I started contemplating, letting go of, identity. It's an unsettling thing. There's a lot of resistance there because it's oh, well, if I'm, not worried and stressed and anxious all the time, then who am I? And you start asking those questions, right? And then you start detaching yourself from that identity. And then you start to see the absurdity of how you've kept yourself in so many limiting patterns and beliefs. And then from there, we're able to make change. From there, we're able to get to the subconscious mind. From there, we're able to start inserting and injecting new belief systems and, new ideologies to embody. And then from there, we can make that change. We can recondition our bodies towards doing the things that knows that needs to be done every day. We can start getting to a place where we're not holding back anymore, where we're limiting ourselves, and we can really start going all out at what it is that we're passionate about, things that matter to us, and things that we know are part of our gifts that we're meant to serve and give to others, in this lifetime. And so some of the biggest benefits that I've noticed over, doing the work and doing the healing. And, by no means am I there. I don't believe that you just get there and then you're done. I think that there's continuous layers and ways to refine and become more synchronized with what it is that you're wanting to create. And so, but one thing I've noticed is like, I don't have this need to control outcomes. And because I don't have the need to control outcomes, it allows better things to come in. It allows me to become more magnetic towards what it is that I'm actually desiring for myself, and even better things than I could have ever imagined, because I'm not attached to the outcome. I just want what's best for me. I'm attached to, I want the most ideal outcome in every single scenario in my life, and then I allow that to come in. I allow that to present itself, and then I make decisions around what things are in alignment and congruence with what I'm wanting. So the big thing first is I don't have this need to control as much anymore. And it's such a liberating thing, because I'm creating space and allowing the great things to come into my life. I'm allowing new people, places, and opportunities to come in that are going to benefit, Raveraide, every single person who's part of our family, travel, like every single thing that I can think of, like, my health, mental health, new relationships, all these different things can come in because you've created this space, and you don't have to be so rigid and, having to know every single detail and try to control. And in reality, the need to control really does come from, trauma, right? Because when we have trauma and we have things outside of us that we don't feel like we can control, we feel that this false sense of being able to control the experience actually allows us to have this false sense of security, when in reality, it's really just hindering you and keeping you from being able to create at your full capacity. So that's the first thing. The second thing I would say is that I don't have to have all the answers to every single thing in a moment's notice. I've made a lot of mistakes, over the years in doing things that came from a place of being rushed. And nature never rushes, but it always gets everything done. And when we start synchronizing up more to that infinite intelligence, you start to see that the solutions present themselves exactly when they need to in perfect divine timing. And it's our job just to stay open and aware to what that solution is. And this is that synchronization part that I'm talking about with creation, is that you start to see, oh, this thing is helping me. This thing is guiding me. This thing is putting me in a place where it's giving me the direction that I need to make the right decisions for myself. And now your job on the flip side of that is, one, to take action when the time comes, but two, not to get in your own way, not to limit yourself, not to allow feelings of unworthiness or lack or scarcity keep you from an opportunity that is perfectly meant for you, was designed by you, so then that way you could live out the best quality existence possible and inspire others to do the same exact thing. That is what synchronization to creation is. It's not doing everything by yourself. Ego thinks that it needs to do everything by itself. Ego thinks that it needs to do all these things that, get recognition, get credit, right? When in reality, you can create with something that's far more intelligent than we are as individuals, and start to realize that you've limited yourself in so many ways, and start to create at a higher capacity and get the guidance that you need at any given moment. Every single call, every single prayer is always heard. The question is, are you keeping yourself open to the solution? Are you keeping yourself open to the answer? And are you willing to take the action when necessary to actualize what it is that you're desiring into your life when that opportunity comes? That's the real question. And that's changed my entire life. That's changed the entire way that I view my reality, because I realize that I don't have to figure every single thing out. I don't have to be a perfectionist. I just need to do the best that I can with the things that I can control, i.e. mostly health, mental health, the things that I can control, and focus on staying open and aware for the things that I think are going to be the best for me, the best for our companies, the best for my relationships, the best for, my happiness and fulfillment, and all these things, because I know that when I focus on the most ideal outcome, that's what we're going to get. Because the mind always finds what it wants to find. It always finds, the stories or the people that validate the belief system. So if you believe that you're not worthy of being loved, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to find people that take advantage of you. You're going to allow people to take advantage of you because it validates the belief system that you believe. Point blank, simple, end of story. Now, the inverse is true as well. I can synchronize with creation. I can synchronize with God or whatever you believe in, because this isn't about religion. This is about you finding your personal truth. I can synchronize to what I believe in. And as a result of that, I am divinely guided towards the most ideal outcome for myself. And as a result of that, the best things always come in at the perfect timing, and everything always works out for its highest good for me. That's that detachment part that I'm talking about. You're detached from the outcome. You're detached. Oh, that thing didn't work out. Okay, cool. You know, I know that the best thing is coming for me. And as a result of that, I don't need to cling. I don't need to force. I don't need to grab. I don't need to do anything. I need to allow that to come and go as it needs to, so I can create the space for the most ideal thing to come. And this applies to everything: your health, your relationships, the people you spend time with, the way you make your money, your businesses, your passions, your hobbies, every single thing. You know, there's an omnipresent universal intelligence that's looking out for every single one of us. And when we separate ourselves from that is when we draw on experiences that we do not want. And I think a lot of people on this planet are really stuck in those patterns, and they're stuck in limiting beliefs. They're stuck in things like unworthiness that are keeping them from getting to where they want to go in their life. And I don't want that for any of us, because guess what? There's enough room for every single one of us on this planet to be abundant, to thrive, to be happy, to be fulfilled, to be anything that you want to be. There's enough room for every single one of us. And we need to break that paradigm down as quickly as possible, because when we do that, that's when we're going to fix this planet. That's when things are going to get better for everyone. You know, not just us on an individual level, but on a whole level, you know, on a one level where we're all one, you know, and that's what totality teaches. You know, it teaches that we all are one. All of us are one. And, you know, when I'm sharing these things with you, I'm healing myself just as much as, you know, you're healing yourself as much as you allow yourself to heal yourself. That's the beauty of life, you know. And I'm really passionate about this subject, because this is like heading towards upper echelons of human experience, right? And I haven't even cracked the iceberg yet on what's actually possible in my life, right? I'm just I feel like I'm unraveling this new chapter, you know. And I just had my 28th birthday on Saturday, and I appreciate every single one of you guys who reached out and shared love. Like it was an amazing weekend. It was also the end of a 7-year cycle too. So I'm hyper aware of the fact that things work in sevens, and the fact that, you know, 28 just ended my, you know, 7-year cycle was a pretty gnarly one, to be quite honest, but it was because I created that for myself, you know, by not taking care of myself, by not being cognizant, you know, not living and being, you know, in the game. I was very disassociated and detached, you know, in not a good way. And as a result of that, you know, it costed my health, it costed relationships, it costed opportunities, it costed all these different things, right? But the value in that is I learned every single thing that I needed to know in order to be able to make this next 7-year cycle as ideal as possible. And I'm sharing this lesson with you because this is one of the biggest lessons that I've learned that's really helped me, you know, live a better quality of life, have less anxiety, have less, you know, feelings of depression, having, you know, feelings of disconnectedness and separation, which I think a lot of people on this planet feel more and more, you know. And I don't want that for people. I want people to feel connected. I want people to, you know, have this feeling that they, you know, can do and create anything that they want freely, because that's our right. You know, it's amazing to be here. It's a beautiful place, and, you know, we want it to be even more of a beautiful place, and that requires us, you know, all stepping up collectively to put an end to things that, you know, aren't right, that are of a lower vibrational frequency. And I know that you can do it, because I know where I've come from, and I've had a pretty gnarly story, you know, and I don't identify to that story very much anymore, but I reflect upon it because there's so much value and wisdom inside of it, that when I talk about these things, it's because I'm going back and grabbing pieces of information that I think would be, you know, practical or tactical for you to use, you know, no matter where you're at, or might, you know, spark inspiration for you to have some recall of your own, and, you know, see the value and the gift in some of the more challenging things in your life and some of the better things in your life, and just really gain a different level of depth around what this human experience really can be, because it's such a powerful amazing experience when you're willing to do what you know that you need to do and do the healing and spend the time to really step up and actualize your full potential on all levels, not just financially, not just physically, not just emotionally, not just in your relationships, but everything, to be a master of every major arena of life, because you're capable of it. You have the time, you have the capabilities, you have the awareness, you have all of it. It's just unlocking it. It's just knowing that it's already in there and believing that it's there. And then taking step by step, day by day, compounding those wins. So then that way you're able to step into, a fully self-actualized version of yourself that loves themselves more than anything, that just wants to see this world be a better place. And that's what I feel like, I'm heading towards, and anybody that's in the Raveraide family is heading towards. And, I invite you. I would love to have you be part of this journey with us. And if you're listening to this podcast, I consider you family. I consider you, one of us, and I want to create that community where no matter what's going on in your life, you can plug in, you can use our products, you can know that everything that we do is designed with the intention to help you become better, to become more self-actualized, to become happier, more fulfilled, whatever it is that you're looking for. We want to touch on, any one of those subjects, and that way we can assist you in any way that you need, and it'll meet you at the exact right place at the right time when you're needing it. And so I'm going to sign off today. Again, I think the big thing about this episode is just talking about synchronization with creation, and that you don't have to do it alone. Ego wants you to do it alone. Ego is what separates you. Ego is what keeps you from doing all the things that you're capable of doing. And ego is what causes the bulk majority of the problems on this planet. Now, do I think ego is bad? I don't. I think the ego is a necessary thing for us to be able to cope and handle situations that we didn't otherwise know how to handle at that particular time when emotions were high, or the trauma was very intense. But the continuation of those things, it's your responsibility to go back and heal those things. It's your responsibility to go back and consciously gain awareness around why things happen the way that they did, and then alchemize the gift that you gained from that reflection, introspection. So then that way you can use it as a gift to assist others, or create the next great business, or do whatever it is that you want to do, or just be a great parent so your children don't have to relive the same traumas that you did. And so there's so much at stake when you really think about it. And really, it's the only reason why you're here. It's the only thing that you need to do. It's the only reason why you're alive, is to self-actualize and self-love yourself more and more by the day. So without further ado, guys, to give you some quick updates on the business, we are going back into production on the Liddy Lemonade. So we're hoping to have it back by Black Friday. We're working really hard. I think we can pull it off. We'll keep you guys in the loop on that. I know a lot of you guys have been messaging us, asking when it's coming back in stock, because I know it's a lot of your guys' favorite product, but just trust me when I say that we're doing everything we can to make that happen for you guys. And then, that's really it in regards to updates. We don't have any festivals planned for the rest of the year. We're working on something really big for next year that we want to make sure that we execute on perfectly. And so be sure to check us out at www.drinkraveraide.com. And as always, my name is Tyler Hardy. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and be sure to take a moment to allow yourself to integrate what resonated and felt true to you, because it doesn't do any good to listen to these podcasts and then to go right back into the life that you're living. Take information that you think that will actually practically benefit you and start integrating it day by day, one day at a time. And before you know it, you're going to start seeing some massive, amazing changes. And as a result of that, that's how we begin to self-actualize. So I hope you guys have an amazing day, and we'll talk soon. Peace.